Hello, my name is Vicki Mack, and I work in the Outreach and Education branch within the American Community Survey Office at the U.S. Census Bureau. And with me today is Andrea Wilkins, a program analyst with the Statistics in Schools program, or Stats in Schools program for short. I want to thank you for attending today's webinar covering the Stats in Schools program and the American Community Survey, or ACS. Today's webinar is being recorded, and the recording of this webinar, along with the transcript, will be posted on our website within a few weeks at the link on this slide. Also, if you would like to follow along with our webinar today, the slides are also posted at the link provided. During the webinar, if you have questions, you can post them in the Q&A section, and one of our colleagues will try their best to respond to you as quickly as possible. Again, thank you for being here. We are so excited to share with you today. Today, Andrea will provide an overview of the Stats in Schools program and why it's important. She will share with you the variety of resources that are available, how to navigate the website, and details on using ACS data in the classroom. For my part of today's presentation, I will provide some basic census information, including a brief history of the decennial census and the American Community Survey. Then I'll discuss the types of ACS data that students can use for assignments. I will also discuss some of the tools to help you access ACS data with some resources available to help you learn more. Now I'm turning the webinar over to you, Andrea.
Thank you, Vicki. So what is Statistics in Schools? Statistics in Schools, or SIS as we call it, is an educational program that was created by the U.S. Census Bureau. We offer student-friendly resources that use census data. A few important points to point out about our resources are that they were made by teachers for teachers. Census Bureau data experts reviewed them for accuracy. We have over 200 resources on our site, and they are free, and they can be used across many subjects from kindergarten through high school. Next slide. So one of our main goals is to empower students to be educated consumers of data. Jobs dealing with statistics are on the rise, and students need to become familiar with seeing and understanding charts, graphs, visualizations, and not just in math class. Statistics are everywhere, from the ranking of our favorite sports team to the steps we take. It has become one of our missions to find and share real life or cool data. So lastly, we want to help students understand the importance of the Census Bureau and the data it collects. We would like for students to make the connection that local communities depend on information from the Census Bureau to decide where schools, hospitals, and other services are needed. Next slide. So now that you have a better understanding of the SIS program and its importance, we will now take a deeper dive into the materials that we offer. So SIS materials are divided into two separate things, activities, and then we have resources. All of our activities are standards-based and cover subjects that include social studies, math, geography, English, and sociology. For the sake of time, I will walk us through our elementary math activities, and then I'll give you a brief overview of the other subjects. On the following slide, I'm going to give you a preview of the math activities and then show you what I consider cool factor or fun data geared to students. Next slide. So here are some examples of our elementary, middle, and high school math activities. With the world rapidly drifting into a more data-driven world, it is important to prepare students. That said, our math activities give students the opportunity to work with real-life data on topics that include population and businesses in their state, walking and biking to work, and even marriage and divorce rates. Each of these activities have a student worksheet and a teacher guide. On the next slide, I will give you a brief overview of the elementary school math activity. So in the How Does Our Classroom Compare elementary school activity, students analyze, collect, and compare data about the number of girls and boys in their classrooms who play sports, take lessons, and participate in clubs. The suggested grade level for this activity is kindergarten through first grade. So for the cool data part in the elementary math activity, students will look at a Child's Day infographic, which you see here. From reading to eating meals with parents to life with siblings, students will collect and organize data about their classroom and compare it with census data for boys and girls across the country. Now let's briefly look at our English activities. So here you see 3 examples of our English activities. And topics for these activities range from learning about popular last names to the setting of To Kill a Mockingbird. Next slide. So here's an example of data that students will see in the English activity. How is young adulthood changing? This infographic shows that the number of young adults living at home has significantly increased throughout the country since 2005, as seen in the darker shaded states. Students will read a technical document, including tables and graphs, then write a paragraph discussing what it means to them to be a young adult. The next subject I'll cover is history and social studies. We offer activities on a range of topics from Native American dwellings to voting, women in the workforce, and the Louisiana Purchase. Many of these activities include primary sources. So let's take a closer look at our history of the telephone elementary activity, one of my favorites. This lesson walks students through the evolution of the telephone, starting with one of the first phones created by Alexander Graham Bell in 1892. Students will look at the different types of phones over the years and discuss how phone usage has changed today. Next slide. So the cool data factor in this activity is that students will look at a graph to see that landline telephone usage rises in the 1960s, as you see here, and then it starts to decline around 2011. Now let's shift gears and look at geography. So in these activities, students will do things like examine photos of places such as the Times Square, as you see in the circle there, or Niagara Falls, and look at data to see how population contributes to changes in physical environment. In higher level activities, students will work with maps and examine census data on topics such as education. Next slide. So here's one of our more popular activities called Where's Gina the Geographer? Students will use a data tool for younger students and this map to help find Gina. An example of a question students will work with through this activity is, I have a sweet tooth and eat candy maybe a little more often than I should. Don't tell my dentist. For this state/territory had only 18 candy and nut stores in 2019, which is not a lot compared to other places. So I know I couldn't go there. Which state or territory can we eliminate? For those of you who would like to know the answer, it is Alabama. Next slide. So our final subject is sociology. With these activities, high school students can discover real-life statistics that provide perspectives on things like migration, modern families, and even poverty. Next slide. So in the analysis of the millennial generation activity, students will look at data that shows how the millennial generation differs from other generations. They will analyze and evaluate social changes and work with a partner to compose a newsletter. One piece of cool data is this chart showing the change of the number of young adults that are getting married now compared to years ago, 40 years ago. Now I will tell you more about our resources on the website. So first, I'm going to walk you through the many resources we offer, then briefly discuss how to access these resources on our website. So here we have a couple of examples of our fun facts and the teaching guide that goes with the handout. They are our student-friendly handouts that tie Census Bureau data to holidays, special events, and different observances taking place throughout the year. Each fun facts come with a teaching guide that gives suggested activity ideas to help incorporate the data into the classroom in a fun way that kids can understand. They are designed to be used across different subjects and various grade levels. So next we have an example of our warm-up activities, which are quick and easy tools to introduce students to Census Bureau data. They can be used at the beginning of a class period to help students get their brains in gear or on a short or light day. They are also great for when there is a substitute teacher or right before a holiday. Each takes approximately 5 minutes or so to complete. Topics include things like educational attainment, earnings and occupation, the holiday seasons, and special observances. The warm-up activities are built around graphs, maps, videos, and other illustrative resources that can help students analyze data in a visual context. They will then respond to some open-ended questions that will reinforce critical thinking. So one of our most popular data access tools is the State Facts for Students. It's targeted to elementary and middle school youth and contains kid-friendly data for states in the U.S. and U.S. territories. This tool lets students collect, analyze, graph, and compare data while learning more about their state. Next slide. Okay. So we recently partnered with Kahoot to develop a variety of challenging games designed to help boost statistical literacy in K-12 classrooms. These games highlight student-friendly statistics about America's history, diverse population, businesses, and more. It also introduces students to working with and understanding Census Bureau data in a fun and engaging way. And then lastly, it can be used to supplement what teachers are already teaching. Now I will take a brief moment to talk to you about our national education partners. So SIS maintains working relationships with 36 national education partners. Here you see a few of our partners that we work with listed. So SIS partners receive timely updates on our program, including new resources and activities relevant to their audience. They also receive customized opportunities to have blogs, articles, podcasts, and webinars produced by Census Bureau data experts and more. So in addition to our national education partners, we also have a teacher ambassador program. There are currently 72 active ambassadors that we work with to build statistical literacy in the classroom. Some things we offer our ambassadors include taking a customized virtual field trip of the Census Bureau, having a video call with a Census Bureau expert, and being highlighted in social media articles and blogs. If you know anyone who would be interested, please contact us at clmso.sis ambassador@census.gov to learn how you can become an SIS ambassador. All right, so now it is time for a data break. Let's have a little fun. Here is the question. How many ice cream and frozen dessert makers are there in the United States? Is it 441, 579, or 601? We'll take a minute or two to allow you to place your answers in the Q&A. So while you do so, this is just one of the ways you can make data fun for kids by turning it into an activity. You can start your class off with a little trivia or end the day on a fun note. All right, so let's reveal that answer, Vicky. All right, so if you answer 441, you are correct. This is an example of how our program presents census data so that it is relatable to younger students. Now that you have learned all about our activities and other resources, I am going to briefly walk you through how you can access these resources on our website. All right, so all of our resources are free and easily accessed from our website at census.gov/schools. When you come to our homepage, you will notice we've placed high-level links there to help you quickly navigate to our more popular activities and resources. Then a little further down on the page, you'll see a graphic and button for September resources. This will take you to our monthly highlights page. So the monthly highlights page is a new page that we created to conveniently give you a one-stop shop to all of our resources related to different events taking place for that particular month. So for example, for September, we have here resources for Constitution Day, Labor Day, and other observances happening in September. All right, so back to the home page a little further down, there are other convenient quick links that take you to our activities, fun facts, warm-up worksheets that I mentioned, the State Facts for Data tool that I talked about, and videos. And we also have a video that will tell you how to navigate the SIS website as well. So from here, you can also subscribe to receive our newsletter and visit our Pinterest social media page. Okay, so there are two top navigation tabs that I want to bring to your attention. First, we have our activities tab, where you can select activities by either subject or grade level. Second is the resources tab, where all of our resources live. This is where you will be able to find our apportionment page, as well as visualizations, data access tools related to our activities, and even resources for Constitution Day. So I hope that I have demonstrated a number of fun and interesting ways that you can share data with students of all ages and help build statistical literacy in our next generation. You can stay connected with our program by signing up for our monthly newsletter from a link on our homepage. You will receive updates on new activities and resources delivered straight to your inbox. I will now turn it over to Vicky so she can tell you more about accessing and using data in the classroom. Vicky, take it away.
Thank you, Andrea. Before we get into the ACS, I want to provide a quick overview about the U.S. Census Bureau as a whole. The Census Bureau is the largest of 13 primary federal government statistical agencies. Most people are familiar with the decennial census that happens every 10 years as required by the U.S. Constitution. The 2020 census was the most recent one. But we also conduct more than 130 censuses and surveys of households and businesses across the nation each year. This includes the ACS and more than 30 other household surveys. There are also over 60 economic programs. Of these, the economic census is the biggest and most comprehensive, providing a measure of American businesses every 5 years. Our mission here at the Census Bureau is to serve as the nation's leading provider of quality data about its people and economy. The American Community Survey, or ACS, is the nation's most current, reliable, and accessible data source for local statistics on critical planning topics such as age, children, veterans, commuting, education, income, and employment. About 3.5 million addresses are sampled and contacted each year to participate. These data are collected all year long in order to produce annual data. The data collected through ACS are used to inform how more than $675 billion of federal government spending is distributed each year. The ACS is designed to produce critical information on small areas and small population groups that was collected once every 10 years as part of the decennial census long form. With the introduction of the ACS, communities and businesses receive more current data instead of waiting every 10 years. So the census questionnaire that is sent to all residents every 10 years is much shorter now. Businesses and communities use the ACS data each year to make vital decisions, including where to locate hospitals and schools, what transportation needs exist, and what goods and services businesses should provide to customers. The ACS is often the only source of this information at the local level. We know teachers use census history and census data to teach a variety of topics to their students. Take Leah DeRazio, for example. She's a mathematics instructor at San Francisco University High School who wrote a great story about how she uses ACS data in her statistics course. She wrote, and I quote, "The best way to explain statistical concepts to students is using real data. Utilizing information from trusted sources such as the American Community Survey is an effective way to motivate and engage my classroom." Leah added that ACS data are also featured in the open source textbook titled Advanced High School Statistics that she co-authored. Those words from Leah clearly speak to the benefits of using real-world data like the ACS data in the classrooms. Learn more about Leah's experience at the link on the slide. In order to have a good grasp of the ACS and how it evolved to its current state, we need to review a bit of census history. The first census of the United States was conducted in 1790 and occurred every 10 years, with one form being used to collect data from all households until 1930. From 1940 to 2000, the decennial census, which is the name for the census conducted every 10 years, contained a short form used to collect data from all households and a long form that was used to collect demographic, social, economic, and housing data from a sample of households. The long form approach worked well initially, but the data became less and less current as the decade progressed after each decennial census. So basically, the data became stale very quickly. In the early 1990s, demand from a wide variety of users for current, consistent data led federal government policymakers to consider the feasibility of collecting demographic, social, economic, and housing data from the long form every year instead of every 10 years. So in 2000, a large-scale test of the American Community Survey was conducted. The ACS was then fully implemented in 2005 and began collecting data every year. Since 2010 and moving forward, the decennial census is only a short form sent to all households, whereas the ACS now collects information each year that was once collected by the long form each decade. Here's an example of the 1940 census form. Each form allowed 40 entries for the census taker. Households were asked the standard census questions of that time: name, age, gender, and race, and also questions about the household, including if they owned or rented, the home value or monthly rent, educational attainment, and place of birth. Those questions are now asked on the ACS, or American Community Survey. Then about 5% of the sample were asked additional questions in the supplemental questions part of the form, the long form. This image shows space for two individuals to be asked the supplemental questions on that 1940 form. They are chosen if they happen to be entered on the lines on the form where you see the two arrows. Most of those supplemental questions are now asked on the American Community Survey form. The questions asked on the supplemental schedule as the place of birth of the person's father and mother, the language spoken in earliest childhood home, if the person was a veteran, if the person was a child whose father was a veteran, if the veteran served in a specific war or peacetime military service. For persons 14 years or older, it asks if the person had a social security number or had deductions for federal old age insurance or deductions for railroad retirement. And it asks the person's usual occupation. Finally, women who were or had been married were asked if they had been married more than once, their age at first marriage, and the number of children born. The link to information about the 1940 census is shown on the slide. This is a copy of an actual completed 1940 census form. And this one is highlighted to show the data for my maternal grandfather, his wife, my maternal grandmother, and my aunt who was only 8 at the time. It may be difficult to see, but if you get the chance to zoom in on the slide later, you'll see on row 11 that my grandfather reported he was 36 years old. He rented his home for $2 a month. The highest grade he completed was 3rd grade, and his occupation was washer, but it was not clear if it was cars or something else, probably because of the handwriting. At the bottom of the form, the 2 arrows point to the 2 rows where people from different households completed the supplemental questions. This record and all other records from the 1940 census were released in 2012 by the National Archives. Now, the ACS provides 3 different data products: 1-year estimates, 1-year supplemental estimates, and 5-year estimates. The data products are released about 1 year after the data are collected. The 2021 data release dates are shown on the slide. So generally in September, we release the 1-year estimates the calendar year after the data was collected. In October, we released the 1-year supplemental estimates the calendar year after the data was collected. Then in December, we released the 5-year estimates. For example, the 2021 1-year ACS data collected from January 1st through December 31st will be released on the 15th of this month. ACS 1-year estimates combine data collected over 12 months and are available for geographic areas with populations of 65,000 or more. ACS 1-year supplemental estimates are a subset of 1-year tables that are available for geographic areas with populations of 20,000 or more. ACS 5-year estimates combine data collected over 60 months and are available for geographic areas of all sizes, regardless of population size. The release schedule can be found at the link on the slide. Along with the numerous topics covered, the ACS also provides data for more geographic areas on an annual basis than any other household survey. The image on this slide shows the geographies for which ACS data are produced and the relationship between them. Lower geographic areas fit neatly within the larger areas directly connected with lines. For example, school, congressional, and state legislative districts fit neatly within states and do not cross state boundaries. However, they may cross boundaries of counties or metropolitan areas. In this visualization, you can also see the smallest geographic building block. Building block is the block group. The ACS's unique ability to report on a wide range of geographies is what gives it such a broad appeal. Whether for classroom activities, student reports, and research, many of our data questions can be answered by the ACS. Many of the SIS activities mentioned earlier used ACS data for real-world data examples. The content collected by the ACS can be grouped into four main types of characteristics: social, demographic, economic, and housing. Social characteristics include topics such as disability status, education, and language spoken at home. Demographic characteristics include topics such as age, sex, race, and Hispanic origin. Economic characteristics include such topics as commuting to work, employment status, and income. And housing characteristics include topics such as computer and internet use, housing costs, and vehicles available. You can go to the link on the screen to access data tables for each subject on our data access platform called data.census.gov. Now, the American Community Survey is part of the decennial census program and evolved from the long form, as we just learned. Therefore, it's important to point out how the ACS differs from the census itself. First, ACS estimates are based on a sample of the population, whereas the census is based on the official count of the population. Every year, 3.5 million housing unit addresses are contacted to participate in the ACS. The information obtained from the sample is then used to estimate characteristics about the total population. This differs from the census where every household in the nation is contacted. Therefore, because the ACS surveys a sample of the population, ACS estimates include a margin of error, or MOE. The MOE provided shows how much the estimate may vary from the true value. Now, the ACS collects detailed social, economic, housing, and demographic characteristics, whereas the census collects basic demographics: age, sex, race, Hispanic origin, household relationship, and housing tenure. The ACS produces population and housing characteristics, whereas the census produces population and housing totals. The ACS occurs annually, reflecting data collected over a 1-year or 5-year period, whereas the census occurs every 10 years and reflects a point in time, April 1st, or Census Day. ACS data can answer a variety of real-world questions, like how many people have internet access at home in my county? How well educated are the people in my city? What languages do they speak in my community? How many children live in my community? These questions can be answered under the many topics covered by the ACS. So how does one participate in the ACS? First, addresses are randomly selected to participate. Each address has about a 1 in 480 chance of being selected in a month, and no address should be selected more than once every 5 years. Households that receive the survey can complete the survey via the internet, by mail, or by personal visit with a field representative. Typically, we first send an invitation for the household to respond via the internet, which is mailed to the sample address. If the household does not respond via internet, a paper questionnaire is sent to the sample address for the household to complete and return by mail. If the census is unable to reach anyone at that sample address, or if the unit had an unmailable address, the address may be selected for computer-assisted personal interviewing, also known as CAPI. If the census receives an internet response or a completed questionnaire from the sample address at any point of the process, we'll remove the address from the data collection workload. Now, each completed survey is so important because it is a building block used to create statistics about communities. Students and educators can help by spreading the word about the importance of participating, as well as by using our data and letting people know where their data came from. If you ever want to know why we ask each question about a specific topic on the ACS, explore the set of interactive Why We Ask web pages to discover the importance of each question. Every question has a required purpose and many uses to help communities. For each topic, you can browse some of the most popular results from that question and view the question, how it appears on the form. We also provide information on the origin of the question, how we protect your privacy, and how ACS statistics help communities. We have 4 ACS data tables called the data profiles, and they are a great place to start for new data users as they contain the most frequently requested social, economic, housing, and demographic data. They are listed: the selected social characteristics in the U.S., selected economic characteristics, selected housing characteristics, and demographic and housing estimates tables. They provide data for all areas down to the neighborhood level, or what we refer to as the census tract level. You can use this data to make comparisons, like compare data by state or by city, or what we refer to as place. City, place, or town are the same. Next, I will discuss where you can find ACS data. Data.census.gov is the Census Bureau's main dissemination system. It is the easiest way to access a variety of ACS and decennial data at different geographic levels. Teachers may be interested in teaching students how to visualize data using the mapping feature and learn about data in the various forms of totals, estimates, and proportions. The links on this slide take you to information about the tool and to the tool itself. Quick Facts is a quick and easy way to access facts about people, businesses, and geography. Quick Facts provides statistics for all states, counties, cities, and towns with a population of 5,000 or more. It's great for making quick comparisons between two geographies, two cities, or two counties. Teachers may be interested in teaching students how to visualize data, compare data for different geographies, and create some calculations like proportions. And Quick Facts makes that easy to do in this one tool. Some topics you can compare are population, age and sex, housing, health, economy, transportation, business, and others. You can compare up to 6 geographies at once or download the data for more geographies than that. My Congressional District, also referred to as MyCD, gives you quick and easy access to selected statistics from the ACS and County Business Patterns. County Business Patterns is an annual series that provides economic data by industry. The data for one district or all districts can be downloaded from My Congressional District. You can find the download link in the bottom right corner. You would use this tool for information on congressional districts, including statistics on people, workers, housing, socioeconomics, education, and business. And you can also embed the MyCD application on your website for other users to use. My Tribal Area is a tool that allows you to access statistics representing the entire population that lives in American Indian and Alaska Native areas. It features the latest ACS 5-year estimates at the reservation and tribal area level. Users are able to search by state for tribal areas. This data features people, jobs, housing, economy, and education topics. You can download the data for one tribe at a time. American Community Survey staff conduct in-person presentations or virtual webinars throughout the year for anyone wishing to learn more about our data. See our webinars and other events at the link on the slide to learn more about ACS data. We have a variety of resources to help you learn more about the census data and accessing it. If you are looking for further assistance on how to obtain or understand ACS data, our Data Dissemination Specialists, or DDSs, who are located within your region, can provide you with assistance about Census Bureau data. These specialists usually provide help in English, but sometimes in other languages as well, depending on the needs of their communities. Whether conducting one-on-one webinars with business startups or conducting large-scale presentations at universities, these specialists strive to put the public in touch with the data they need. DDSs provide a variety of assistance for free. If you are interested in a specific topic or training or presentation, please reach out to a specialist in your area using the contact information on the slide. We invite you to stay in touch by telling us how you use data from the American Community Survey, like the instructor at San Francisco University High School, Leah DeRazio, described earlier did. For example, have you or your organization used the ACS data to make an important decision or help your community? If so, please visit the link at the bottom of the slide to share your story and explore how data enthusiasts across the country are using ACS data in creative ways. If you want to read some of the other posted data stories, check out the bottom link on the screen. In closing, I encourage you to connect with us directly. The ACS and SIS or Statistics in Schools contact information are on the slide. If you have questions, you can reach us at the phone numbers shown on the slide. You can sign up for and manage alerts on the ACS via Gov Delivery. Also, add yourself to Gov Delivery if you want the slides from this presentation or any other presentations we provide. Gov Delivery will send out a broadcast when materials are available. ACS also has an email address to help support data users who may have questions: acso.users.support@census.gov. You can visit our website or connect on the various social media platforms using the hashtag ACSData. And one last thing, if you're using ACS, make sure to source the Census Bureau survey as to where you receive the data. It helps people know that the information they're using is powered by the American Community Survey. Now, do we have any outstanding questions in the Q&A? I'm going to take that as a no. And with that, I want to thank all of you for joining us on this webinar today. And again, a recording of today's webinar, along with the slides and a transcript, will be posted online shortly. Thank you again.
This concludes today's webinar. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect at this time.